order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Romanek?
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Here.
Commissioner Watson?
Here.
Commissioner Ranello?
Present.
Can I please have everybody stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, we just had the addition of a discussion item for 15th Street.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. You would wish to address the commission, please come to the podium, state your name, address, please limit those comments. Seeing nobody, I will close the public comment. Discussion of us commissioners, discussion of the 15th Street. Please fire when ready.
Yes, just wanted to have an open discussion here about what's taking place with 15th Street and the options available. Earlier this afternoon, I asked Commissioner Hewitt to meet me at 15th Street to examine the racks and cages used by multiple departments. I wanted to visualize the needs of our departments and determine if our needs, bear with me, my printer died, so I wanted to visualize the needs of our departments and determine if our needs still were the same as they were 60 days ago when I first looked at 15th Street. Since this time, the Parks Department has put multiple pieces of equipment up on GovDeals. Our department discarded of old materials, including worn and tattered decorations, as well as empty totes, removed questionable items that have somehow found their way into our department over time, and have had no use to other departments. Nothing that is deemed necessary to the Parks Department or others have been discarded or removed from the building. The items that were removed just haven't been used in many, many years, have long expired their shelf life, or are broken. We walk the rows and racks throughout the building, of which more than half at this time are empty. And it's clear there are more unidentifiable items that have yet to be claimed by a department that will likely not be transported to whatever new site is chosen upon relocation. With that said, I feel the needs addressed in the presentations we have seen may not be accurate, taking this new visual into consideration. Collectively, about 60 days ago, we were measuring space used by our departments, that is, space that was housing old items, broken items, and miscellaneous items. Many of those items are now gone, but there are still a lot of items, including an entire cage of files that need to be shredded, as well as a few shelves of paper that require shredding. Once these items are properly destroyed, they will be gone and will no longer require long-term storage, but up until then, they remain a part of our calculations. Regarding relocation, to date, I have personally looked at 3 industrial properties, 2 of them presented as move-in ready. The first, which was not move-in ready, needed a complete rehab and had numerous issues. It was determined not to be a viable option after our engineer looked at it. That property was located at the airport. I know Commissioner Watson and Commissioner Hewitt first explored this option, and I joined Commissioner Hewitt in late April to look at it in person prior to the engineer examining it. The 2 other properties presented as move-in ready had several issues, and they were both too small to meet our needs, even the needs I'm discussing today. I'm not an engineer, but I personally observed that one had an active leak, and the other had visible structural issues. One property was looked at in late May, the other I looked at the end of June. Another building was brought up at a public meeting in June by Commissioner Hewitt as a possible option, and it has been determined that that building was also not for sale. 2 large buildings with owners who are allegedly toying with the idea of leasing and or selling their property have been contacted by this commission, and it was determined that those buildings are not for sale. At present, it has become clear to me and the public through these work sessions that there are currently two options at this moment on the table. For the city to purchase 826 Columbia Avenue, also known as the Gem Building, with the large property that sits beside it, 1016 Columbia Avenue, or the option to purchase and erect pole barns on land. First, and completely unbiased, I would like to clear the air on some misconceptions about the Gem Building. I have had members of the public contact me to ask me if the roof is currently leaking. The roof was inspected by our engineer, and no active leak was detected. The second time I personally looked at the Gem Building was the day after a lot of rain. Our engineer was there on the same day. The building was dry. Since our last presentation, the owner of that building conveyed to this commission that Wilhelm Roofing was out at the property to coat the roof, thereby prolonging its life expectancy for whatever buyer decides to buy this building. I believe that the engineer went out to the property again to look at the roof after the coating was done. The second question I was asked is if there were old wood floors throughout this building. No, the flooring in the building is concrete. I was also asked if the building was filled with cubicles like office spaces. No, it was not set up like a data center or a telemarketing center with cubicles throughout. Lastly, I was told that the Parks Department vehicles probably couldn't make any turn into the rear entrance to the building. So we decided to put that to the test. Yes, we have the ability to make the turn to get into that building. Ironically, since I was down at 15th Street today, the guys from my department were pulling into the warehouse. I didn't realize how difficult it was now for our trucks to make it into the 15th Street warehouse. I have also heard that the Gem Building is way too small to meet the needs of any department. My department has personally conveyed to me that they can make this building work if that is the way that this commission proceeds. And I concur with that, especially after looking at the 15th Street, how they cleared out today. With the addition of pole barns and the land to the right, if that is the way that the commission proceeds, I think that every department would have its needs met. But let's go on to the price tag. The Gem Building comes with a price tag of $1.7 million. I realize that that's a lot of money. If anybody knows anything about me, they know that I'm tight for the taxpayer. So this price tag drove me to look at what is selling in Millville. At this moment, there are two newer listings that went up on the market. Neither of those properties fit our needs. One of them is a 10,000 square foot building on South 8th Street with a large parking lot to the right of the building. It is listed at $1.5 million. Another is a 5,000 square foot building that just went up for sale on North 6th Street. It's listed at $600,000 with very little land. I bring them up to point out their asking price, and I encourage the public to look at their assessed value. You might be surprised. The market is very hot right now. Industrial property is extremely limited. If anybody knows of any industrial property that anyone wants to consider selling or sees that it comes up for sale, I'm sure the commission would like to hear about it. Before I was appointed to my seat in April, this commission unanimously decided to sell a building because the market is so hot right now. It's not very clear to me why this commission would unanimously decide to sell a building if they were not unified in a plan, or that they had multiple options available to them, which is clear that we do not. So let's discuss the alternate plan to the Gem Building, which was presented by Commissioner Watson during the last few work sessions. The alternate plan focused on pole buildings. One presentation really captured my attention with phrases such as, "Imagine this." It actually brought me a lot of joy to imagine these possibilities. These presentations highlight the wish list of every department and likely every person sitting out here right now. But I'd like to tell my fellow commissioners we're not up here to imagine, unfortunately. If this is the way to proceed, it is now July 16th. It's no longer time for homework or imagination. Our departments, especially mine, need a place to go. Displacing them and putting them in sea containers until this commission figures out what it's going to do is not only unacceptable, but it's embarrassing. And I have to ask if you think that this is going to be efficient for the city or increase worker morale. And for the members of the public who believe this is the way to proceed, the land that has been presented to me so far since April to make this happen has been, 1, a flood zone that was underwater after Hurricane Sandy in 2012. 2, land that's currently under contract. 3, and land that's actively for sale. I'm not here to shame anyone or point fingers, but the reality of the situation is this. This commission created this situation. If you did not have an actionable plan that you could proceed with, you shouldn't have agreed to sell this property. With that said, there were some details, important details, missing from the last presentation that I was rather impressed with. Especially since the clock is running out fast, if members of this commission are looking at land, these are my questions. Can the land support the structure without excessive site preparation? Have you assessed the drainage and flood risk of the site to prevent future water damage? If we look back to 2012 with Hurricane Sandy, you might find some of these sites that you're exploring shouldn't even be a blip on the radar. Have you ensured availability of essential utilities such as water, electricity, and sewage? And lastly, have environmentals been done? Thank you.
Go ahead.
So in addition to what Commissioner Ranallo just said, I did have a plan when we started this, myself and the administrator, economic development, a couple of my other commissioners at the time. So we had a plan. Why opinions would change later on, I can't explain that to you, but now you also know that we have infrastructure in this city that needs a lot of work. We have a lot of roads that need to be paved, a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed, and all that stuff costs a lot of money. I mean, we get complaints nearly every day of broken roads, inadequate stormwater drains, inadequate facilities. I mean, 9th and G Street pops into my head, Smith Road pops into my head. There are two of the streets that I've been getting a lot of complaints about lately. So we have an opportunity to fix some of these problems with a positive impact to our residents and our taxpayers. You guys all realize it takes a lot of money to fix problems. The sale of 15th Street and the purchase of another warehouse that is adequate, I stress adequate, to fulfill the city's needs. We don't need to build a modern building with beautiful offices for 2 people that are going to be in there all day. And usually it's only 1 person in there all day. And the rest of the time everybody's out in the field. So, and not only Gem Enterprises, but wherever we go. To me, the idea of this is that we should net income. With Gem Enterprises, I estimated the net income would be $4 million. That's $4 million in infrastructure improvements to our city that you won't have to pay for out of your tax dollars. Now, it's interesting to me when I read complaints and I look at it, the same people that are complaining about this are the same people that are often complaining what our city needs and why aren't things getting fixed. The main reason things aren't getting fixed as fast as I'd like them to, and I know as fast as the public would like them to, is money. Money is the key. And this offers us a lot of money to fix a lot of problems. So look at it from that angle, in addition to the angle that you're looking at, and I compliment you on your good work. Ray and myself did the same work, and unfortunately I had to wait for somebody else to do it as well, to see what was out there, to consider the other items. And for the record, I didn't interfere with her one bit when she was looking at things. I didn't. Not at all, right?
No.
And I'm sure you wouldn't have let me up if I wanted to.
You got that right.
So, you know, we've come to basically to the same conclusion. What you guys think, I don't know, but really, I mean, look at the whole picture, not just the building. Not just the purchase of the building, but the whole picture and the opportunity that we have to make these improvements without impacting the taxpayer. I haven't seen that opportunity since I've been in office, either this time or last time. And I don't want us to lose that opportunity. And that's about what all I have.
Thank you, both of you. Commissioner Rowell, you did your due diligence just as Vice Mayor said, and I will agree on your side. You probably wouldn't let him to interfere at all. And the way I've learned to and grown to know you, it is a process that we have to go through with this decision. We obviously want and need things for the city to operate efficiently and effectively. I do stand by my vice mayor in saying it does not need to be the latest and greatest with beautiful windows and pretty siding. Does it have to be nice and neat and, you know, up to at least 2010, 2020 standards? Yes, absolutely. I would like that for my employees and everybody that works or will work here in the city of Millville. It is a challenge. Nothing in government, as you can see, is easy. We're just a municipality. Look at county government and how that operates. Look at the state and how it operates. We have many challenges, but we're here to accept those challenges and do our best job, I believe, as this commission can do and will do. Any further discussion?
Yeah, sure. So, looking into it, I mean, obviously everybody knows that I kind of side with new pole barns. I think it's a better idea than buying a building from the 1850s. I mean, you yourself, Mayor, made a comment about the last meeting with the air conditioning not working in old buildings. You know, we're going to have those same kind of problems buying that old of a building. And talking about price comparisons, you know, again, building that was built in the 1850s, a little over 16,000 square feet at $1.7 million is a lot of money compared to a potential opportunity to buy new buildings, you know, that could go upwards of 32,000 square feet for the same price. And obviously there's certain things that we have to look into first, like how we're going to buy it and time. So one of the issues that was, you know, asked of me when I was giving presentations, as you know, I side with this idea, and it was the purchase. So digging into it, making a lot of phone calls, reaching out to people. Omnia Partners Co-op, which we are a part of, the city's a part of. Applied Industrial Technologies, it's actually the representative that I spoke to said that the sewer department already used the Applied Industrial Technologies. They have a partnership with the Omnia Partner Co-op. And under the scope and services or scope of work with the contract with the Omnia Partners, I'll just read it off because it's probably just easier to do it that way. Related products and service included installation, repair, and renovation services. A complete range of relative products and services offered by the supplier included, but not limited to, installation, repair, and renovation services for replacements, upgrades, and remodeling in the residential, commercial, and industrial environments relating to any of the following: roofing, gutters, downspouts, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, exterior decks, patios, porches, exterior siding, windows and doors, interior and exterior painting, weatherization, ADA improvements, hose fabrication, hydraulic repairs, gearbox repairs, conveyor system repairs, rubber fabrication, and any other types of residential and commercial industrial environments. Now, a project was just done by the county. I've been trying to get in contact with that person to kind of read, you know, the wording, how, or go about how they went and did this. Was offered an opportunity to go out and check out the building that was recently constructed. So I believe I have an opportunity or potential that we can go through Applied Industrial Technologies using the Omnia Partner Cooperative without having to go out to bid, obviously, to purchase these buildings. That was a big hurdle, and it took a lot of deep digging to find. Now, another issue, we talk about placement. Where are these buildings going to go? Well, I'm pretty sure that that big place in Florida, Disney World, it kind of all started with a dream, kind of started with an idea. But, you know, it's neither here or there. Anyway, there's two properties that I was looking at. I've been requesting information and unfortunately haven't got the chance to get the information. Today I met with the zoning official. We're going to sit down tomorrow to discuss these two opportunities. One's at 1601 Malone Street, the other one's at 102 West Foundry Street. One's 6 acres, one is 11 acres, and it's already city-owned, so we don't even have to buy the property. And obviously, we're not receiving any ratables. So moving forward, after we do get the information, and the intent of those presentations sitting there at that podium was to try to get somebody behind me and behind the idea of giving this to our city, not only to the residents, a good visual appearance on the buildings that we work out of, but also the morale of the people that work for us and serve us every day, not just for the 4-year term that we sit here. So I would love to give an opportunity to those city employees that deserve it, that work out of those buildings, to imagine what they need, and let's tackle it and try to give it to them for the same price that we're buying a building that's built in the 1850s. Now, it's pretty obvious that there's not much support because, from engineering to 3 or 4 people up here, it's always going towards a gym building. But I'm not voting for it. So I'll keep digging on the idea that I have or the imagination that I have. And if it's not suitable for the other people to vote on it, it's not suitable. But I'm not the one that has to answer to buying a building in the 1850s for $1.7 million and a possible roof renovation. That's all I got to say.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Yes, we spent a good couple of hours out there in 15th Street today, which needed to be done. We also, you and I, spent, like you said, time out to the airport, before the airport, for 2 reasons, structurally and also on behalf of the DRBA, who just shattered the contract that we had in our hand. Why, I don't know. Who cares? It's done. I explained as much as I could to you because, yes, the 15th Street warehouse right now, compared to what it was 4 months ago, is immaculate inside. I think I stressed that to you when I walked in there. I showed you the materials, the props, the mechanisms that we have specifically for the fire department for training. That's not going in the gym building. And I showed you the space that we use. Not trying to be impolite or anything, but I explained that to you. I myself was glad to see the way that the court cage is, but I do know they spent a week over there in that heat. And they did shred a lot of damaged and molded product, and it's fantastic. I had heard about it, but I hadn't been out there to see it. So kudos to my courts, our courts. I'm stuck on the age of the building. Full disclosure, I talked with the man the other night for 2 hours. I talked to everybody, contrary to popular belief. I don't know how we're going to make it work. I know what's out there. I don't know where it all went. I think I stressed that while we were out there, Commissioner Ranella. A lot of it needed to just go away, which is not deniable. I explained the situation with the impounded bicycles, which has really been lowered because we have cleaned them out. You've got OEM stuff out there that by law, the size of the city and all, and with the river and the lake, which we pride ourselves in, we must have some of this product. That we talked about that. I learned about that by asking questions when I got into office because I didn't know all about it. Yeah, we've got some of our product out there over to the right where I refer to it, you didn't, but I refer to it as our graveyard of vehicles that are on gov deals, and everything's getting a little bit of bidding process on it, so it's all going to sell. I don't know what we're going to do, and I'm stuck and I'm using the example. I don't know what we're going to do for our state mandated training for the fire department. We're not going to, in the middle of a winter night, stick our fire trucks out in the lot for the entire night to do that training, set it all up, tear it all back down, bring our fire trucks back in the house. It'll be a 24-hour event. You saw the space. I think you would agree with me. It's not going to happen. Naturally, you couldn't see it set up. I wish you could have seen it set up because it is all taken down and packed away. I don't know what to do. We don't know that we've sold it yet, and I hate to say that in public, but it's a question that I have.
We didn't go to settlement.
Yeah, I know. At this point in time, I am stuck between a rock and a hard place. And until the building actually sells, I'm going to keep on looking. I'm going to keep on searching for areas. I reached out to residents in the last 3 days that I know that have land. And I found out that one piece of land is right now committed to a possible sale that will become a rateable for us. I found out that another piece of land supposedly has green acres attached to it. I'll find that out tomorrow. I tried to get with the zoning official today, but everything went sideways. There are a lot of questions. People tell me, people call me and talk to me about this, talk to me about it. Yeah, people call me too. I'm always available. I've sat in this chamber after hours with residents. We're all working. Please don't anybody think we're not all working. Right now, it looks like it's a jumbled mess, and honestly, in my mind, it is. We're under the gun. I can remember, talking about some ground might need to have some money spent to be investigated to see if it's good, but it's been put to me that we can't spend money till the building's sold. I understand that. A lot of roadblocks, there's a lot of hurdles that we are clearing, trying to get to a clear view of what and how we're going to tackle this very large situation that this commission and city is looking at. And I am open, like I feel every commissioner and the mayor is open to. Somebody's got an idea, reach out to me. Those that do reach out to me, I'm pretty confident that you watch and you pay attention. But I'll have phone calls, so now that's good. If you see something, if you get something in your mind, bring it forward. It doesn't matter what commissioner you bring it to. Bring it forward. Give us something else to look at. Give us an avenue to go down before we are stuck sitting here as a 5-member commission and having to make a decision that, in my mind, will not fulfill the needs of every department in this city. And it's just my thoughts. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Thank you.
I'd just like to add one more thing. A large concern of mine is displacement. There are some members sitting here who work for departments, have family members in departments, and I can't see putting these people in Connex boxes and saying, good luck until we figure it out. I don't think that's going to be efficient for anything that takes place in this city. I don't think that the firemen could do their drills in a Connex box. Where is everybody going until then? So far, I have heard sea containers. And I don't personally, no offense to anybody sitting up here, think that that's a viable option. And I think it's a slap in the face to the workers to expect them to work in those conditions. It's not a surprise that the morale isn't top-notch right now. And I don't think that people would be happy working in those conditions. I don't think that getting equipment in a dark container that has no electricity in extreme heat or extreme cold is a good option. Digging through stuff to maybe get plows, lawnmowers. It doesn't seem reasonable or well thought out to me. So that is a very, very big concern, especially when you consider the history of the Parks Department. They were left in a trailer for, 10, 12 years, waiting for the next commission to do the right thing. Well, we could all say that we're working to do the right thing, but what if it doesn't get done in time and we're relying on the next commission? We have no idea who's going to be sitting up here. We have no idea, and I'll be very frank, if they're going to have a brain cell in their head to even complete that. You don't know. You can't bank on that, and that is a really big concern of mine. I would love to see more options. I've been trying to explore every option, and I hope more options come to us, and rather quickly. And that's really all I have to say.
Well, if we buy that gym building, I'm pretty sure that this current commission is going to show that they don't have any brain cells. Basically, that's where I am. So we're talking about buying this building at 16,000 square feet, right? And you said that you just went out to the Parks Department, or the Streets and Roads Department, you looked at the warehouse.
Yes.
And it's been broken down enough, so now maybe we can take it back to another presentation, get smaller sized building, and we'll be under the $1.7 million.
Not to interrupt you,
And
Commissioner.
then if we're going to do this,
Well,
right,
hold on.
since we're kind of breaking down and we're making it smaller, my idea was to say, hey, let's plan for the future. If these guys need more equipment or if they need more space, it's already there. We don't have to tackle it again. We are making plans so the next commissions don't have to deal with it. The next
To the
commissions
future.
aren't blaming this commission for making poor decisions and buying an old building that needs a lot of maintenance so that we can't afford to take care of. That's the object of it. It's a solution.
When I came into office, not to interrupt you, but when I came into office, there's three different factors that have to do with the fire department in the city. City fire department, volunteer fire department, and there's one more that I can't remember. They approached me about putting a pole barn on the property. We have the room for a pole barn on the property at the firehouse. We do. Boom. No problems with the ground, no nothing.
So let me suggest this. You could do Gem Enterprises or whatever project you want. We can get one pole barn
Yeah, and you've
that
mentioned
doesn't
that to me.
exceed bid spec, so we don't have to put it out for bid. We can do one and put that on the fire department lot, and that should take care of your problem. So, and in addition, you still have $4 million to work with. So, I mean, I think I have some brain cells.
Well, obviously, I've
We
already
all
brought up
do,
the
And,
yeah.
co-op.
and just let me point this out too, no matter what we do, the next commission can come in and undo everything. It doesn't matter if we make the best plans in the world, set them on the best path for success, the next commission come in and undo it all.
Well, I'll tell you what they're not going to do. They're not going to make a profit off selling the gym building if they want to.
How do you know that? You don't know that. Look at real estate
I
prices.
do know that.
Because commercial real estate has a higher return on investment than the stock market, believe it or not. So why don't you do some research on that, on what the return on investment is, what commercial real estate costs right now? Believe me, I wish it would have I wish we could get it for $1 million. I wish we could find another building. And I just looked up your address on Foundry Street, which is the one surrounded by Archer's Foundry over by the hospital that a lot of groups use for a lot of events. So I don't know how happy, they'll be about that.
Does that event take 6 acres to do?
They use the whole thing. When Shine does their event there, they.
What do they have, like the whole city there, like 27,000
months
people?
ago. I'm just telling you.
And it's not like,
I'm not
it's
arguing,
not
I'm
like
just telling you they
anybody
use
else
it.
listens to me,
they
but you
did- they
keep saying
used
the
to-
bid,
they
and I
used a
gave you an
third of
option
it.
right here to use a co-op. And as
Well,
far
we
as
get-
time building, according to the Delmarva pool buildings, takes 6 months to erect the building, including the zoning and planning and architectural work.
Okay, so 6 months, 4 months is $67,000, there's $250,000.
And you don't have to use C boxes, and you don't have to lease the space. What you have to do is work with
Finish
your departments and
proposal.
find
I'm willing to
areas.
listen to the rest of your proposal when you get it done.
I'm sure.
It's not like this is new. This has been going on for over a year,
Right, and then over this year, how many economic development meetings did you sit on?
all but 2.
And who oversees economic development plans?
Well, I'm there. Any of you that want to go can go.
So this
you went
1
to
year and
right?
2 years that you've been there and attended these meetings, sitting down with the lawyers, sitting down with other commissioners, sitting down with economic development, which you didn't have a
Commissioner
good
Watson,
succession plan.
what's the
You came
point?
up with buying a building from the 1850s for $1.7 million.
That was one of my options, yes. I also looked at other places to look, and you were certainly invited to every meeting.
Yep.
And you can certainly call the redevelopment meeting whenever you want. You can certainly meet with the administrator whenever you want, that's in every meeting. You meet with Mr. Russell, it's in every meeting. The city planner is in every meeting. Sometimes the engineer's there, occasionally. So there's plenty of people you can talk to. If you can't, I understand you have a job, you can't make the meetings. I get that. But then don't come here and tell me you don't know what's going on. If you don't have the time to put forward in your job, then what the hell are you doing here?
The only thing I can say is I don't want this
Close.
bickering. I don't want this bickering. I know where you're
Wrap it
going,
up,
Mayor.
Commissioner Hewitt. Thank you all. Discussion of commissioners. Commissioner Hewitt, do you have anything regarding the betterment of this meeting?
Nothing more.
Commissioner Watson, anything further? Commissioner Ranello?
Still open to seeing every possibility, all land available, buildings that are already available, move-in ready preferably. Anybody knows about them, we want to hear about them.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Not enough right now.
As you can see, we'll be ready and waiting for the next meeting at 7 o'clock, roughly in 24 minutes. Any new business, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
Public comment portion. If you would like to address this portion of the meeting, please state your name, address. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes respectively. Thank you.
Tricia Kears, 49 Peach Drive. I am not in agreement with the gym building, and I make that very clear.
Ms. Kears, can you make sure the microphone's on? Just tap it.
No,
No, it's
Yeah.
not on. Just start over again.
Yeah,
She
it's
get-
gonna fall. Yeah.
That was a practice lap. You get to start over again. There you go.
Thank you. Patricia Kears, 409 Peach Drive. I've not been in agreement with the gym building, and I've made that pretty clear. I have suggested looking at properties that the city owns, and I'm specifically looking at Block 125.01, Lot 13 at the airport. Used to be the old Airworks. It was the Yuki Hall. It is 27,304 square feet. It has utilities already. I understand the building may be in really poor shape. I'm not sure. I certainly haven't had the opportunity to go in and look, and why would I? That's not my forte. But even if the building was in such bad shape, that had to be taken down. That concrete pad that it's built on may be able to be reused so that that particular expense could be off the books. I don't think any taxpayer in this town is asking for a new building with beautiful offices. I think we just want something that's utilitarian, that fits the needs and the future needs of this town. Everybody's goal is to grow this town, and that will be an increase in records and equipment, trust me. So I think you need to look at room for expansion. There should still be $4 million left from the sale of 15th for improvements, because I believe the bond was $2 million for another facility. So the 4 would still be there. But I think 27,304 square feet is a little better than the 16,000. The cost of the land would be nothing because the city owns it already. Drainage was just put in at the end of Airworks Street. Hopefully that would take care of any drainage problems that are there. All of the city facilities or records or equipment would be centrally located, and it really is not that much different than having it all at South 15th Street. There were a lot of roofing materials on the gym building, I noticed the last couple of days, and I guess they're going to resurface it. And my question is, how much roof life will that give? Because another $1 million within 10 years puts that price up. That property is assessed at a little over, I think, $202,000, and the asking price is 1.7. I know commercial property is high, but right over here on Buck Street, that property was assessed at over $700,000, and we only sold it for $150,000. So it just seems to be such a disparity to me. And the same thing with the bank. It was a higher assessment, sold for like $430,000. So I think really you need to look at using the Omnia Partners Cooperative. I think that's a great idea. I think that if that building has to come down, that a pole building could be put up, designed so it would meet the needs. You'd be able to get equipment in. You would be able to store the equipment so it could be seen. It doesn't have to be a fancy office. It can be utilitarian, and the utilities are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Ms. Gears.
Roy Shepard, Newcomb Town Road, Millville. I have a couple questions. Probably I'll just shoot them out and you can come back to me. What was the original plan when we put 15th Street up for sale? Did we have somewheres we had intended to go? And then did we come back and realize, oh crap, the building's going to sell relatively fast. Now we're scrambling. So was there actually a plan in place where we were going to go? Because it don't seem really there was a plan. It was put it up on the market, and you know, if we sell it, we'll make that decision then. But it's like you want to sell it, but you don't want to sell it, but you don't know what your options are. So what was the original plan off the get-go when we put 15th Street up? Next question is, where are we at with the time frame of selling 15th Street? Are we getting close to switching keys? Where are we at with that process? Is it very time sensitive? We have to be out there by October, September? Is it next year? Is it they're waiting on their finance? What is that process? For probably the last 10 years, I have taken care of the building next to the gym building, zoned for Jack Narvin. I can tell you one thing, if you do buy this gym building, you better have armed guards there, you better have 2 dogs, you better have barbed wire fence all the way around the place. Because the bums, whatever, that are up in that area are gonna break in, they're gonna steal stuff out of them vehicles, if there's any vehicles in the parking lot. So you better put that into the budget if you're gonna buy it, that you better have armed guards at the gates, barbed wire, I don't know, 10 foot, because they're gonna cut it. Dogs, whatever you gotta do. You also gotta keep this in mind because, you know, it's not in the best of area. You know, 15th Street is a little bit out of town. You know, does the riffraff go over there? Maybe not as much. Have they got broken into? Probably they have gotten broken into. But I can tell you, Jack Narvin's place next to gym building, you board the doors up, the windows, 2 weeks later, they're in there. I mean, you can have a new roof, you can have walls, you can have everything. They'll bring the chainsaw and cut the walls down. So, I mean, these are things that you need to keep in mind. I mean, I haven't sold a lot of real estate in my time, but sometimes it's better to come up with a better plan than just say, hey, we're going to sell it, and now we're all right, where are we going to go? And then you come up with an idea of the gym building. Is it really, you know, I like the idea of a pole barn. You have something beautiful. I mean, you look at the Millville School District. For how many years could they have had a brand new school? And what do they got? It looks like a piece of junk. It's the same scenario. You're going to buy the gym building, and It's gonna be fine. But if we ever have to sell it as a city, nobody's paying 1.7 or 1.6 or whatever we declare it's gonna be sold as. Pole building, I think, is a great idea. Use city land, erect something nice, have people, the more we develop this city, people want to see that it's nice. I mean, places up to Union Lake are selling for $800,000 now. These people want to see that it is a well-managed city. That's all.
Thanks, Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Paul Pareca, Smith Road, Millville. I'm an engineer, graduated from Villanova. I'm also a real estate broker for over 30 years. Nobody has approached me and asked for anything about any real estate in Millville. It seems kind of odd, but 600 Columbia Avenue is for rent. There's 120,000 square feet there. Goes from $1.95 a square foot to $3.95 a square foot. That could be a temporary spot to go while you're waiting for pole barns to be built. I own 450 acres near the airport. It's available, it's for sale. You can lease it. You can start building tomorrow. There's no environmental problems with it. It has sewer, has water, has cable, has natural gas. Nobody's approached me about that. To say that all options have been explored seems a little bit odd to me. And on another point, I don't want to talk too long. When you have an asset that is serving your needs or could serve your needs in the future, you would never put that up for sale without having the option already ironed out, or the contract that you signed with somebody that's going to purchase it would say that we can cancel this contract if we can't find a place to go. I would never recommend that somebody sell their house that they live in if they didn't have a clause in it that said we have to find suitable housing. It's the same with commercial real estate. You do exactly the same thing. So the whole scenario that this is now a huge emergency seems very odd to me. It should never have happened that way. The contract should have never been written that way. I think the questions that were asked by the man over there were very good. Like, where is the contract for 15th Street? Has anybody seen it? Has the public read it? Are there extensions? Are there extensions to it? When was it supposed to settle?
There was an extension for extra time for due diligence.
Extension for what?
Extra time for due diligence.
Why would you give?
Over the contract, read it. It'll be easier to me trying to explain it.
Yeah, why would you give them an extension when you don't have a place to go? It makes no sense. I mean, it's like a comedy of errors, one piled on top of the other. So
Again-
the first error is putting it up for sale without not having a place to go. The second error is not extending it when you had a chance to get out of the contract. The intermittent error, there was an error that you didn't put in a clause that you had to find a place to go before you would settle. The next one was paying $65,000 a month for rent. I mean, they're all crazy things that should have never been in a contract. There's always an option. Taking a step back and buying something that is not going to serve your needs for a very long period of time because you feel like you're under the gun is not the correct option to take. Temporary stuff, find another way to do something, talk to people that have knowledge and know what's going on. They're all good options, but selling an asset that is worth something to take a step back and get something worse just seems like a terrible plan.
Thank you, Paul.
Seeing no one else, I will close the public comment portion of this meeting. Closing comment of commissioners. Commissioner Hewitt.
Yes, everybody up here knows that everybody's had an ear in this, and everybody's had a speak in this. There's things I want to say right now that I can't say. I know I can't say them. But there's things I need to say to the fellow commissioners that I sit here with. So I'm going to pose a question to our city attorney. And this just came to me now, sitting here for this last hour. We have another meeting the 1st of August. can we schedule, is this a legal conversation point for us to schedule a closed session so that the 3 questions in my mind that I know I cannot say, because they're involved with the contract of this in public, can be spoken with me, with all 3 commissioners and the mayor? Is that legal, Mr. Solicitor?
Well, if you want to discuss contract negotiations concerning the possible or potential acquisition of another property, we could discuss that in closed session.
Okay, great, because that's, I'm gonna say right now to everybody, I would like to have a closed session on the first meeting in August to discuss this specifically, the contract for 15th Street. And we don't have to vote on it or anything, we just gotta do it if we wanna do it. You can touch base with the city solicitor as you feel necessary, as you see him, but that's what I'd like to see. That's all, thank you.
Commissioner Watson?
No.
Commissioner Ranella?
I think that's a good idea, but I'd just like to point out that the contract is available to all of us. I've looked at it many, many times, and I have been encouraging my fellow commissioners to look at it as well.
Vice Mayor Sui?
Nothing.
See everyone in approximately 10 minutes for the regular session meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So